he draws a revolver from his pocket, turns and fires a single bullet straight into Jeff's head. Gary, why? Why, Gary?
What do you mean why? He's touching my child. He's touching my child. What do you mean why? That's the only reason why. Extreme vigilante justice in history.
But as the marshal closes the door behind the last of his guests, a dark scowl emerges on his face. He turns
Whoa, dude. Hey, relax, bro. Was the chicken not seasoned enough?
to John's friend, the boy, and he begins berating him for the mistakes he had made during dinner service. The boy is terrified as
What did
the
he even
marshal
do?
walks to the fireplace and grabs an iron shovel.
Yo!
Without hesitation, the marshal turns and begins viciously beating
Oh
the boy
my.
with it. John watches helplessly as his
Help, bro, John, bro, help!
friend is hit over and over again. The sound of the shovel ringing
my
out
God,
against
dude.
his skull
You just meet some kid and it's like, oh, this brown boy, he's a little different. Later, do you know the nice man you just met is beating the hell out of him, bro. That's really the sad reality of life as a black person back in the day, bro.
goes in the room, and he can smell the boy's blood as
Oh
it
my.
begins to pour from
Oh
a wound on
my.
his head. In that moment, the cruelty of the world his parents had warned him about becomes crystal clear.
Right.
The Browns were Calvinists, and they had told John that slavery was an abomination against God. Though he'd heard those words countless times, this night was
Now you're finally seeing it in action, buddy, okay? It's not just like, oh, the fairy tales or like the books and the movies and the history books that they talk about. No, you're seeing live in effect how they treat black slaves, bro. Now, really, what are you gonna do, John? Let's see you fight, man.
the first time he had seen its horrors with his own two eyes.
Come on.
At that moment, John Brown silently decides
You're
there
gonna
is
leave? You're gonna walk away? You're when your homie is dying?
no greater evil in the world than slavery, and that he'll wage an eternal war to end it. The 1800s in America were
Okay, I understand that maybe John Brown, he turned into like an amazing person. He has a great like revenge story, potentially down the line. But what happened with that? Am I the only one who's like tripping, bro? Am I the only one still thinking of that? Like his friend just died. He watched him die and he's not even gonna do nothing. I mean, yeah, he's a kid, but bro, like push him into the fire. I don't know. Take like a knife and go, I have more faith in you, John. Brief intermission. If you're enjoying the video so far, please make sure you go ahead and smash the subscribe button. We're on the road to 200,000 subscribers. Thank you very much.
an uneasy period to say the least. Tensions between the northern free states and southern slave states were rapidly escalating, and his father, an abolitionist, had begun helping escaped southern slaves by sheltering them as they made their way through the
Hey, shout out to his father, bro. His father's a real one.
Underground Railroad. Because of this upbringing, John had learned to treat every person of color with dignity and respect. And so everywhere he went, he was quick to befriend free
That man is good at every hood, every cookout.
slaves and Native Americans. At the age of 16, he set out to make it on his own as a man.
Okay.
He moved from city to city, trying his hand at various businesses, all of which seemed to fail eventually.
Damn.
He popped out 20 kids between 2 wives, and
Yo, this man was going crazy. He started an entire ranch of children, bro. Now you gotta make them do factory work in Sheen factories.
perhaps most importantly to him, he did whatever he could to help slaves escape to a better life in the North. In 1829, Brown was operating a secret safe house for the Underground Railroad in Pennsylvania. One day, some neighboring white families came over and asked for his help in driving out some Native Americans from their lands. Disgusted by the request, he answered back, I would sooner take up my gun and help drive you out of the country.
Oh, I like it. Hey, put your money where your mouth is. Just shoot him, bro. It's okay.
But as much as John Brown hated racism, half of the country felt exactly the opposite way.
True.
Slaves were essential to the economy in the South, and with the 3/5 Compromise of 1787, which classified slaves as 3/5 of a person, Southern states quickly gained disproportionate political power in Congress. This led to the passing of the Fugitive Slave Act.
I actually know a lot about the 3/5 clause. A lot of people believe that, like, oh, the 3/5 clause means that a slave was worth 3/5 of a person in terms of, like, humanity, but it was more so for taxation, representation, things like that, and that's what caused issues economically.
Required Northerners to capture and return escaped slaves to their owners. Upon hearing the news, John Brown could not believe a law so heinous was passed. And for the first time in his life, he questioned if the pacifist views held by his fellow abolitionists would be enough to bring the changes required to right the wrongs being—
No, bro. In time, you will notice that the people who just advocate for some type of, like, change or social justice through, like, peaceful protesting and talking, that only gets you so far in certain situations, bro. Where there was actual things that needed really, really crazy change, violence was the answer, bro. Shout out Malcolm X. Without actual brute violence, people who look like me could genuinely still be in the fields to this day. Sometimes violence is the answer, man, and is necessary.
Done in this country. In response, he forms a group called the League of Gileadites, an armed group who defended escaped slaves from slave catchers.
Oh, okay.
They are successful, but as
Now, I don't know about that name. The Gileadites? What is that? That sounds like some type of, like, STD.
as he tries, Brown can see that the future of the country is growing increasingly grim. In 1854, Congress passes the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which left the decision on whether those territories join the Union as a free state or a slave state up to a popular vote.
Okay.
Immediately, pro- and anti-slavery settlers rushed to Kansas to try to sway the voting in their favor, and amongst the anti-slavery settlers were 5 of John Brown's sons.
Damn.
More pro-slavery settlers pour in from
Bro, why are they beating him?
Missouri and begin terrorizing anti-slavery settlements, and Brown's sons write to him asking him to come to Kansas to help the cause.
Okay.
Initially, he refuses, but by October of 1855, John cannot turn a blind eye to the possibility of another slave state joining the Union. And so he loads up a wagon of rifles, pistols, and swords
Let's go,
and
John.
heads west to help his sons. Kansas was primed as a political powder keg ready to explode. And though he did not know it at the time, John Brown would be the one to light the match.
Ooh.
On May 21st of 1856, a pro-slavery group sacked the anti-slavery city of Lawrence, Kansas. And the following day, pro-slavery Representative Preston Brooks savagely beat Senator Charles Sumner with a cane on the Senate floor after he'd given
But this is all because you want free labor. Like, they're doing all this to fight for the most oppressive, disgusting practice in history, and you're going to war to keep it in place.
Anti-slavery speech. The 1-2 combo of the sacking of Lawrence and the caning of Sumner breaks something inside of the 55-year-old John Brown. His whole life, he had hoped the South would eventually see that slavery was morally wrong. But now he realizes this was nothing but a fool's dream.
Yep. You cannot get rid of slavery by just having a handshake and being like, hey guys, you know, let's go ahead and... No, you're not having no tea parties, bro. You're gonna have to kill some people. You're gonna have to see some bloodshed. Somebody has to die, bro.
So-called abolitionists in the North were all cowards. They do nothing but talk. Slavery must end by any means necessary. If no one else will do it, then he will deliver God's judgment himself.
Let's go, John.
And
Come
on the night of May 24th, 1856, John brings a group made up of his sons and fellow abolitionists to the home.
That's so tough, bro. Like a vigilante hero group with just you and your blood that you spawned in. This is like LeBron James, Bronny, and his other kids.
With pro-slavery settler James P. Doyle, and demands that he and his sons come out. Doyle and 2 of his adult children nervously comply, and they are led 100 yards into the darkness.
Oh.
The group of men walk silently in the light of the moon until Brown's 2 sons turn towards the Doyles and draw broadswords. Cold and emotionless, they raise their weapons and begin hacking their hostages to pieces. Screams fill the night air as John Brown draws his pistol and fires a round point blank.
Okay, at that point, what was the point of making them walk 100 yards, bro? Just to meet their death? You might as well just kill them at their doorstep.
Blank into James Doyle's forehead, finishing him off. The Brown party traveled to 2 more houses that night and executed 2 more pro-slavery settlers. John Brown was now a murderer, and this event, known as the Pottawatomie massacre, kicked...
Carefully, he's a hero. Let's clap it up for John Brown, bro. Shout out to this man. One of a kind, bro. We wouldn't be here without him.
Off a state-level civil war that would be called Bleeding Kansas.
I heard of
John
this.
Brown quickly becomes public enemy number one amongst the pro-slavery settlers in the territory, and warrants are put out for his capture, dead or alive. But Brown does not back down, and he leads his anti-slavery militia in multiple battles across
I
Kansas.
wonder how many people did he gather for his militia at the time? Obviously, he has his sons and his family or whatever, but I'm guessing a lot of like other abolitionists joined him in his group.
Against pro-slavery forces, becoming a highly polarizing national figure. By the end of the year, the anti-slavery settlers in Kansas seemed to have turned the tide, and it was looking like Kansas would eventually join the Union as a free state.
Okay.
Leading Kansas had not been easy for John, as he lost one of his sons in the violence, and with the increase in bounties being put on his head, he decides to leave the area as a wanted man.
That sucks. And he always knew that that was a genuine risk. Either his life lost or his son's life lost, you know. But he was doing it for a greater good and an amazing cause, so.
By his exit from Kansas, his deeds had turned him into a household name. Many in the North called him a hero fighting for justice, while in the South, he was branded as a deranged lunatic. But what John Brown planned to do next would make all the previous events appear small in comparison.
What do you
and
do?
It would change the course of American history forever.
Huh?
In August of 1859, John meets his longtime friend, escaped slave and activist Frederick Douglass in an
I was about to say, I thought this was the dude that he met originally, or from the beginning of the video, his like kid friend that was being like abused by that one dude. That would have been a crazy ending.
abandoned stone quarry in Pennsylvania. Now a wanted man, the meeting is done in secrecy with just a few in attendance. After exchanging pleasantries, Brown tells his old friend about a plan he'd been working on for years. Inspired by the story of Moses, who led the slaves out of Egypt in the Bible, and the tales of Spartacus, a slave who had led a slave rebellion against the mighty Roman Empire, Brown believed deep in his heart that the slaves in the United States, if provided the opportunity and proper means, would rise up against their oppressors and take their freedom
Now this is the method. Yeah, get the black people to fight for themselves too, and then you have more of an army.
for themselves. Douglas cannot believe what he's hearing as Brown continues to share his plan to raid the federal armory at Harper's Ferry, Virginia, and incite an insurrection of slaves against their owners.
Okay.
Douglas desperately pleads with his friend not to do this.
Why?
Attacking a federal building would be a suicide mission. But Brown pushes back, saying that he's now realized his purpose. He is an instrument
I could definitely see both sides in this argument, bro, because as a slave, bro, you don't have those military weapons, and you're trying to invade a place that does have the military weapons. Mind you, you're being beaten, being abused like the worst way by these people. So if you do something like this, there's no telling what's gonna happen in your revenge and retaliation to you.
God, and this act would serve as notice to all slaves in America that their friends had come. As they part ways, Brown turns to his friend and tries one last time. Come with me, Douglas. I will defend you with my life. Douglas shakes his head.
Damn.
But an escaped slave who had accompanied him to the meeting is moved by Brown's words and agrees to join him on his mission.
Damn.
Frederick Douglass smiles weakly at his dear friends, shakes their hands, and says goodbye.
Douglas, bro, come on, bro. Why you looking low-key like pussy right now, bro? Come on, bro. Just pull up, man. Don't be scared, man. I mean, he lived on to see a better day, though. Like.
And so, in the dark of the night on October 16th, 1859, John Brown and 18 of the 22 men he had brought with him sneak into Harper's Ferry and cut the telegraph lines into the town.
Damn.
They quickly seize the federal arsenal and take the commanding officer, Lewis Washington, George Washington.
It was that easy?
Lewis Washington, George Washington's great-grandnephew, hostage. Everything is going exactly to plan. The arsenal contained over 100,000 rifles and muskets, more than enough to fuel any slave uprising.
Okay.
Now all they had to do was wait for them to come and join them. But instead of reaching the slaves he had hoped for, word of Brown's capture of the arsenal spreads much more quickly to militias in nearby towns, who all race to Harper's Ferry.
Somebody probably snitched, bro. There's an inside job.
By the following day, Brown's raiders find themselves surrounded. He had waited too long for an army of slaves that never showed up, and now he was trapped.
You gotta go.
Firefights break out, and Brown's raiders flee into the nearby fire engine house with their hostages.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Some of these stories, like slavery stories or just stories like this in general, will make a fire anime, bro. And I know that might sound insensitive to somebody out there, be like, oh, it shouldn't be. You know. But think about like the plot. This gives me like an Attack on Titan type of vibe. It would be very interesting plot-wise, and it'll be very educational.
By nightfall, President Buchanan orders a detachment of U.S. Marines to Harper's Ferry and commands Army Colonel Robert E. Lee to lead them to retake
I
the
heard of that
armory.
guy.
On October 17th, after a failed negotiation, Colonel Lee orders the Marines to storm the fire engine house. Within minutes, John Brown was wounded and captured, and 8 of his men, including his sons, were dead. Brown is charged with treason against the Commonwealth of Virginia, murder, and inciting an insurrection.
Bro, they're probably gonna sentence this man to execution.
His case is expedited through the courts, and he's found guilty on all charges. When asked if he had anything to say, John Brown rises from his seat and eloquently begins a speech, denying any wrongdoing and saying that if his same actions had benefited the rich instead of the enslaved, he would have been rewarded rather than punished.
Facts.
He closes his statement with the following words: "Now, if it is deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children, and with the blood of millions in this slave country, whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments, I submit. So let it be done."
This is genuinely a righteous man to the fullest. He did what nobody else wanted to do in his position as like a white dude. I have the utmost respect for you, John Brown.
John Brown was hanged for his crimes on December 2nd,
Oh my God.
1859.
Oh my.
In the crowd that gathered to watch his execution were U.S. soldiers Stonewall Jackson and Jeb Stuart, men who would later fight for the Confederacy against the country they had sworn to protect. Also watching from afar is John Wilkes Booth, the man who would later
That's the guy who killed Abraham Lincoln.
assassinate President Abraham Lincoln. John Brown makes no speech that day, but instead hands a small note he had written on a scrap piece of paper to his jailer as he walks up to the galley. "I, John Brown, am now quite certain that the crimes of this guilty land will never be purged away, but with blood. I had, as I now think, vainly flattered myself that without very much bloodshed, it might be done." And John Brown was prophetically right. His raid on Harper's Ferry equally stirred the hearts of abolitionists to the north and terrified slave owners in the south, who rapidly began to push for secession from the United States.
Yeah, his impact was long felt after his death. Obviously, when you die, you don't know what your impact is going to be afterwards. You don't know what happens after. But I wish he knew genuinely how much he helped America change for the better, bro. Obviously, there's still ways to go in certain areas, but you get what I'm saying.
In just over a year, the American Civil War began, and 750,000 Americans will die in the war to end slavery. As they marched throughout the country, Union soldiers began singing a song they called John Brown's Body as a rallying call. What began as a joke with crude lyrics evolved into a song detailing the life of a man who had given everything he had to end what he considered the greatest sin of his nation. This song was eventually rewritten into the Battle Hymn of the Republic, or as it is more commonly known, Glory, Glory, Hallelujah.
I don't think I'm familiar with that song. One thing I want to say, there's a lot of people out here to this day, and comparing back to like people of the older eras, like who actually fought in these wars or fought in these civil wars for great, amazing causes. Most of the people nowadays who are just like, we don't like violence, you can't solve these issues, blah, blah, it's not that deep, I don't really care, I don't care about political issues at all. Like, I understand not picking a side or whatever, but at least having an opinion and not being like a spineless person. You would be one of those people just fighting for slavery rather than against it, bro. Just being like, oh, it's fine, we should just keep things how they are and not have bloodshed, bro. So if you are one of those people, actually reflect and think about how that's kind of weak, man.
Gary Plauché.
Okay.
It's 1983 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and Gary Plauché is driving his 10-year-old son Jody to karate practice.
Okay, interesting.
Jody's been training under his 24-year-old instructor, Jeffrey Doucette, and Gary is proud of how much his son's improved.
Okay.
But at the same time, Gary feels bad for the guy. See, Jeff seems like a good guy, but he's struggling financially. So much so that it's pretty obvious he's been living at his karate dojo.
Oh, damn. Okay, he's sleeping on one of them Japanese beds. Contrary to popular belief, though, these beds would be very, very comfortable.
So, wanting to help him out, Gary starts inviting Jeff over for dinner and occasionally lets him stay the night.
Okay.
Over the next few months, Jeff becomes a close family friend. To Jody, it was awesome having a cool older friend around so often.
Older friend slash karate teacher slash unk slash homie.
You start spending a lot of time together, going to movies and traveling to different cities for karate tournaments. And to
Wait, how are they traveling to different cities? I thought he was broke.
Gary, it was great that his son had a positive role model that he could trust to keep Jeff safe. But that trust was about to be broken in the most horrific
What'd he do?
way imaginable. On February 14th, 1984, Jeff asks Gary's wife if he can borrow her car to visit his uncle and if Jody can come along for the ride. She doesn't see anything wrong with this, so she hands over the keys and tells them to have fun.
This is actually very, very common. Like, you ever have a homie who's like, oh, let me be your uncle, whatever. Maybe you have like a lifelong homie and then they're like, oh, let me take a ride with the kids or whatever, go out somewhere. Is that abnormal to accept that as a parent? She couldn't have seen this coming, so I can't even blame her.
A few hours later, Jeff calls and says they decided to stay the night at his uncle's place and will be back the next day. But when the next day comes and goes with no sign of Jeff or Jody, Gary and his wife start to worry that something terrible may have happened. They contact the police, who begin searching for the boy and his instructor. But despite their efforts, there's still no trace of either of them.
Oh my gosh.
Hours turn into days, and Gary's worry slowly turns into dread that the worst has happened. The police soon launch a countrywide search to bring Jody back home.
Damn, okay, how important was this kid or this family, bro? I feel like when you file a missing report for kids nowadays, people do not be searching that much. Maybe they'll give out an Amber Alert. We all just look at our phones and it goes bzz, bzz, and we're like, I don't know. And then everybody forgets. There's no like countrywide search.
All the while, Gary can't stop imagining all the horrible things that may have happened to his son. 2 weeks pass with no signs of Jody or Jeff.
Damn, that's a
and
while.
The terrifying possibility that he may never see his son again begins to feel very real to Gary. But on February 29th, Gary's wife receives a collect call from a motel in Anaheim, California.
Your son is being sold for ransom. Come buy him.
When she picks up the phone, she hears Jody's voice on the other end. Thank God, he's alive! The police quickly trace the call and pinpoint Jody's exact location. 30 minutes later, Anaheim police storm into the Samoa Hotel.
What the heck is going on, bro? Why are they laid up on his bed like this?
Where they find Jody with Jeff in one of the rooms. They immediately arrest Jeff and take him into custody.
Okay.
As the officers question him, it turns out that after visiting his uncle, Jeff drove all the way to California and took Jody to see things like Hollywood and Disneyland.
Bro, what? What's happening? Yo, this might be the coolest man ever.
While keeping him locked away in a motel at night.
Okay, never mind. Why? That's weird.
The very next day, the police take Jody back home to Louisiana. When Gary sees his son step
Wait,
off
from Louisiana? I'm just realizing he went from Louisiana to California. He took bro on a road trip.
that plane, he rushes over and is relieved to have him back home safe and sound. Over the next few days, he struggles with the fact that someone he trusted so deeply, someone he welcomed into his home, had kidnapped his boy.
Yeah.
But the reality of what actually happened turns out to be far more disturbing when
What?
Jody is taken for a medical examination.
No, what happened? What happened? I'm actually getting chills.
The police soon informed Gary and his wife that Jeff was not the man they thought he was. The examinations of Jody's body showed that while they were in California, Jeff had done some absolutely disgusting things to him.
What'd he do?
The detectives assigned to the case interview the little boy, and he tells them that Jeff had been molesting him
Oh my God.
for over a year.
Oh my God.
He was too scared to tell anyone this entire time because he did not want to lose his friend.
Oh my God. What do you even say? What can you even do? The kid's not telling nobody because he's scared to lose his friend. It's a kid, he doesn't know better. He doesn't know this behavior is inappropriate. I guess the only thing you can do, bro, to prevent the situation is teach your child young what is and isn't acceptable touching-wise and stuff like that, bro.
When Gary hears this, his whole world shatters. He feels overwhelmed.
Gary, I'm gonna tell you like this, man. Yo, that guy has to die. He literally cannot be on this earth anymore, bro. He can't.
Overwhelming guilt that he had put his son into such a horrible situation. But soon, this guilt turns to rage, and something inside him snaps. He decides that he cannot allow this monster any opportunity to get away with destroying his son's childhood.
Facts.
And will do whatever it takes to make sure justice is served. Jeff is charged with aggravated kidnapping and child molestation and is held in California while Louisiana authorities prepare the paperwork to bring him back to stand trial.
Okay.
But as the days pass and Gary waits for the criminal proceedings to begin, his rage continues to build.
So what are you gonna do, Gary? Come on, man. The Glock's in your hand, man. The cards are in your favor, bro. Okay, just go pull up on him in the jail. Just shoot him in the face, bro. It's cool, bro.
And he soon feels that no punishment the courts could come up with would ever be enough. For days, he visits a local bar, trying to drink his suffering away. And one night, a friend working at a local TV station happened to stop by and saw him.
Okay.
After making pleasantries, his friend casually mentions that his newsroom had heard that Jeff Doucette will be flown back to Louisiana on March 16th on American Airlines Flight 595.
Okay.
Upon hearing those words, Gary's eyes widen. He now knew exactly what he needed to do.
Which is?
On March 16th, Gary walks into Baton Rouge Airport.
Are you about to bomb the plane, the airport? No, don't do that.
Disguised with a hat and sunglasses. He stands at a row of payphones in the main corridor and calls his best friend. As news crews arrive to film the return of Jeffrey Doucette, Gary keeps his head turned away from the cameras. Around 9:30 p.m., the police escort Jeff through the airport towards the main corridor. As they near the row of payphones, Gary tells his friend, who is still on the line, "You're about to hear a shot," and drops the receiver. In one fluid
holy gangster
motion, he draws a revolver from his pocket, turns, and fires a single bullet straight into Jeff's head as he's walking by.
Say goodbye.
The police are shocked as they watch the man they were just escorting tumble to the ground. The officers rush in and grab the assassin and instantly recognize who he is. One of them screams, "Gary, why? Why, Gary?"
What do you mean, why? He's touching my child. He's touching my child. What do you mean, why? That's the only reason why. That's the only acceptable reason why I should ever do something like that. Don't look at me and talk to me about no why.
As they pry the gun from his hand, Gary doesn't resist as the officers arrest him. Jeff is taken to the hospital in a coma, but dies the following day. The assassination was filmed live as it happened directly in front of the local news crews at the airport. And the graphic images of the execution quickly become national news.
Wow.
As brutal a crime as was committed, many
So if I Google this right now, I can actually see the images. And then for the kids who were watching TV that day, I'm sorry, you guys are traumatized forever.
country identified with the father's desperate quest for revenge. Gary is tried for second-degree murder, but accepts a plea bargain in which he pleaded no contest to manslaughter. The judge ruled that there was virtually no risk of Gary committing any other crime, so he's only given a 7-year suspended sentence, 5 years of probation, and 300 hours of community service.
That's actually a huge W. What the heck? Nowadays, you do that? Oh, you getting 10, 15, 20, bro.
He never goes to prison. When he was later questioned why he shot Jeffrey Doucette, Gary simply replied,
"What do you mean question? What do you think, bro?"
"If somebody did it to your kid, you'd do it too."
Absolute facts, man. Well, that's gonna do it for today's video. That was extreme vigilante justice in history, man. If you like videos like this, let me know in the comment section. You know, the drawn videos or just stuff that are like historical. I have some interest in them. I never really liked history growing up. Nowadays, I don't know, some of it I find interesting. So yeah, if you enjoyed it, comment down below, like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Pin third channel in comment section, description, things like that. With that being said, have an amazing rest of your day. It's love, I love you, and I'm out.